Okay, welcome to our annual Brooklyn School Spring Concert. Excited to have so many people here this evening. Such lovely weather we're having. There's probably no better night to have a concert than this evening. Behind me on stage is the 5th and 6th grade band. My name is Sean Sullivan. I'm the director of bands here in Brooklyn. I teach 5th through 12th grade, so you may have seen me on the sideline in a football field, and I know for guarantee that we did see each other way back at the holiday concert in December. And it's just amazing to me how the strides that we've made in this group and the improvement that they've made. If you remember at the concert at the holiday season, we had a 5th grade performance and we had a 6th grade performance, and we did some things together. And for 5th graders, the majority of the pieces that they played were 4 measures here, 8 measures there, maybe something that was 16, maybe a 30, 32. And now we're doing full pieces of sheet music, long works, and we have the combined group on stage. So every day we have band at lost my train of thought. We have band at 10:06, and the kids all roll down. And it's one of my favorite parts of the day. I get to team teach Mr. Keller, and we have a student teacher this year, Mr. Mango, and it's just a really exciting part of the day. And yes, when they all come down, they all come down. Okay, and it's a lot of fun. We make a lot of great music together, and I'm just really so proud of how well they've done this year. I think they deserve another round of applause for how well they played that first song. Now, when you have 112 kids sitting in a class with noisemakers in their hands, it is a benefit to have band directors along with you in the room. And I've been here for 24 years, and so is my colleague, Mr. Keller. And we've had the opportunity, since all the schools have been combined these last few years, to be able to work together in 5th and 6th grade band these last 2 years with the big group. Usually it was 5th and 6th, and now all together we get them. And it's definitely a benefit to have us both in the classroom and team teaching the class. And so he's actually going to introduce the next tune, but I'm going to introduce him first and bring him to the stage. So without further ado, let's have a round of applause for Mr. Keller.
I did not know I was going to introduce this song, so I have nothing prepared. This is actually one of those things where, one of my first years teaching here, early 2000s, I picked up a favorite movie song book. And it's like, all right, yeah, this is great. This would be great. And so this is Forrest Gump, and which was great when we were younger. And now I give them to these kids, and they're like, "What's a Forrest Gump?" So ages a little bit. So this is Forrest Gump. Always nice when you save your best for the concert. All right, so it's always great to work with Mr. Sullivan. We've been together for 24 years. It's an honor. He's a great band director. But we've had a lot of help this year, and they go unnoticed. But this is the first year that the 5th and 6th graders have been combined, that the 6th graders have been a year ahead of the 5th graders. So we actually use the 6th graders a lot to help us. They helped the 5th graders, and they were tremendous. I mean, they did such a great job. You know, we would just be kind of working on something, and we look over, and the 6th graders are helping the 5th graders. So that was great, and that really helped out tremendously. And it's awesome because these guys are going to see each other again in 7th and 8th grade band. They're going to see each other again in high school. So it's fantastic. So we want to thank the 6th graders for being our kind of co-teachers. It was awesome. Now, we also had another person who was co-teaching with us this year. This is the first time I ever did a student teacher, and it's been a pleasure. He came here, I think, the second week of January, and he's been with me for 4 months. He's done a great job. He's done in 2 days, and then he gets to graduate and go out in the real world. But he's done a fantastic job. He's going to conduct this next one. Give it up for Mr. Sebastian Mango. And he has the best name ever.
And Mr. Mango's last week, he gets to get up on stage and conduct that band. That was an extra special occasion, did an awesome job, band sounded great. Let's have one more round of applause for Mr. Mango and the 5th and 6th grade band. Okay, we're gonna close this portion of the concert for the 5th and 6th grade with a classic that I know that if we have band alumni out there, band veterans, I know 7th and 8th grade are familiar with this last tune. It is definitely a fan favorite. And you can see in the program, Galactic episode, and we're excited to present that for you this evening. Please make a point. I know that we get to these final concerts and we get to the end of the year, and there's so much on the table to do, and the list goes on, that we often forget that it is important to keep playing. And make sure that you're encouraging your son or daughter through the summer. Make sure that they get that instrument out. I have high school students of my own. I have a daughter that's in 5th grade, so I know what it's like As a band director, it's not like my kids studiously go down and practice their instruments on the daily. I have to encourage them strongly to do so. So I know that it's real easy to just go outside and play in the summertime, but once in a while, say, hey, get that instrument out and play something for me, and just encourage them to keep playing. If anything, just to make sure that everything's functioning. You let a trumpet sit for a few weeks, and all of a sudden the valves won't move anymore. You let a trombone sit for a few weeks, all of a sudden the slide doesn't move. And that's where you start to have some issues. So just make sure they keep playing through the summer, keep practicing, encourage them to do so. And we're going to present this Galactic episode. Please enjoy. Okay, Mr. Keller said it best, man. It's the best when they save the best for the concert. That was the best we played that. We say BSF, best so far. That was outstanding. We're going to have a quick transition. Let's have another round of applause for our 5th and 6th grade band. Just give us a couple minutes and we're going to bring up the 7th and 8th grade. Thank you. technical difficulties. Such a catchy tune, and our soloists did an outstanding job. I'm going to actually, I know I just had them sit, but I'm going to have them stand again. As you can see on the flute, Catalina Serrano, go ahead and stand up. On the clarinet, Alyssa Alvarino. On the alto saxophone, Roberto Munoz. And starting and ending the entire thing on the snare drum, Ben Dunovchak. Now, one of the really cool things in 7th and 8th grade band, what you just saw there, I don't know if anyone noticed. Anyone notice what they were doing up here? I'm asking the audience. They were playing music, they were soloing, then it became a duet, then it became a trio, then it became a quartet. What didn't they have? Anyone see what they didn't have? They did not have music. So all that is memorized. They did that entire thing memorized, that quartet of solo performers. Let's give them one more round of applause. For our next tune, this is a high-octane, intense, gas pedal down the entire time, pretty hardcore type of tune. It features an unbelievable array of percussion. That's one of the big differences that you see when you start moving up in grade level, is you start to see a little bit more, many more options with percussion. You know, I know that we have a few timpani things, but we start adding suspended cymbal and crash cymbal, and we have bells, and we're using different tom-toms and different slide whistles and all the other little things that, you know, that we can shake and move and all that. So this next tune is no different. So without further ado, please enjoy Night Flight. Okay, night flight. So we've had a busy few months. It's been a crazy 2023. There's still a lot to go. If you look at the schedule events, we had a concert on Friday on stage for the jazz band. And then obviously tonight, next week, we have our choral concert for the Brooklyn School. The week after, we have our high school concert. The week after that is the banquet. We have Memorial Day. We have commencement, where the high school band is marching at Cedar Point in the middle of May. There's a lot going on, and a lot led up to today. So we've had a number of students in our 7th and 8th grade groups that have participated in some of the activities that led up to this concert today in May. As far back as, we turn over the new year, we start having competitions for the high school in February. We start to get ready for our spring musical. I hope you had the opportunity to come out and see Sister Act. We had a number of students involved with that. Our jazz ensemble was something that starts right after marching season at the high school level, and that was November that we started practicing, and we did our concert this past Friday. So, and participated in a number of festivals leading up to this today. So really a busy time. I know a lot of people see the marching band on Friday night, and then they're like, well, what happens after that? Well, it continues, the music continues, just in different ways. So we had a number of students on stage today that participated in our spring musical. There are quite a few, so I'm actually just going to have them all stand or raise their hand. If you were in the pit or a part of the cast in this year's Sister Act, go ahead and stand up and raise your hand. That's one of those things, like, you don't realize how much time you spend here until you're not spending that time here. That first Monday after that final performance, it's kind of like, I'm going home before it's dark out? And it's kind of a weird thing. I'm going to eat dinner at a normal hour, and our students are right there with us, performing in the pit, performing on stage, building the sets, working behind the scenes. It is a huge extravaganza of time and commitment, but our kids just really rose to the occasion this year, and I thought that they did a fantastic job with Sister Act. I also had some students a student that was involved with the jazz ensemble this year, and he had the opportunity to perform this past week at the Evening With concert on Friday night with the high school jazz ensemble. He's one of our drummers, Ben Dinovchak. Go ahead, raise your hand, Ben. And I have to say, and I said this about him the other night as well, usually when you bring a new kid in to work in jazz band, they're learning from some of the older kids. So here's an 8th grader coming into a group, and the drummer in that group is a senior in high school. And one of the best drummers that we've had come through the program is graduating this year. And Ben, not shy about it at all, came in, knew that he had to work really hard, and he did. He listened a lot, he practiced a lot, he got better and better each week. And as an 8th grader, there were times when our lead drummer, Shariah, was at a basketball game and couldn't be there, and he would cover all the parts. As an 8th grader to come in and do that, it's astounding, it's amazing. And I can't say enough about what this young man did through this year. Impressed me is the very least that I could say. It was amazing. So let's give one more round of applause for Ben. We also had a group of students that start to prepare actually before Thanksgiving, usually beginning in November. They're putting music together for the Ohio Music Education Association's solo ensemble event. And that's where they play. They go to another high school, North Ridgeville is the case this year, and they play in front of a judge and they receive a rating. And they pick a tune from a selected program of music, and they go to another school, they have a time slot, and they play in front of a judge. And that's the outcome. There's the many hours of rehearsal that lead up to that. And one of our students in the 8th grade clarinet section did a fantastic job with that group this year. They got a 1 in the clarinet choir ensemble. And I can't say enough about how well she did, because she just came right in. You're in a group with like a dozen other high school students. And she also played in our spring musical production of Sister Act. So I'm going to have Angela Tran please stand up and be recognized. Angela. We're going to continue on. This next tune everyone knows. I'm actually going to invite the audience to participate at some point. It has a special narration to kick it all off. So without further ado, and you'll probably know where you have to insert certain things into this song, I'm going to welcome Austin Adkins to the microphone. And I like this one so much, I think that I'm going to kind of sit in and play on it too, because it's fun. So this is Spongebob Squarepants. Please enjoy. I'm sure you've heard this before. 1 second. Are you ready, kids? I can't hear you. I tell you what, that narrator at the beginning, Austin Adkins, when he did that in class, I was like, that actually really sounds like the real thing. So it was kind of like, and there were a couple, it was pretty close. Like, I was really surprised. Usually there's like this one, but it was actually close. A few people tried it out, and I was like, whoa. And I was like, oh, I didn't grow up watching SpongeBob, or I was more of like a Voltron guy, I don't know, G.I. Joe. I remember when cartoons were all Saturday morning. People are like, cartoons are on all the time, what are you talking about, you know? You can watch whatever you want. Okay, so speaking of some quick reminders in the program, as you can see, I've put a schedule in there for 8th grade specifically. You've probably received some communication from me by mail. I have sent some things out for our 8th graders. If for some reason you missed my correspondence or you missed the big packet of information that I sent home about next year, I do have additional copies of that out in the lobby. Make sure that you grab one. If for some reason I'm missing you when I send things out, please approach me and give me your email or your address, because I have sent everything out in the mail multiple times. Once in January to give you some dates, and then again in the past couple weeks regarding some other information, giving you a schedule for next year and all that kind of stuff. So if you haven't seen that, make a point of either dropping me an email or come talk to me after the concert. Also, all of our students that have been involved with any of the high school activities throughout the year. So if you were a student that carried the banner during marching season, if you were a student that was in jazz ensemble or participated in OMEA or was a part of our musical, then you are cordially invited to our annual music department banquet. And I'm sure, because I have handed some of these out to people, okay, and this is more of a 7th and 8th grade thing, but if you did not see that RSVP form with information on that come home, I also have additional copies of that in the lobby. Okay, and most of the students that are involved with that I've already kind of recognized tonight. So if your kid is one of those kids, then you need to make sure that you RSVP for that and come on out. We do an outstanding job of recognizing all our young musicians and performers throughout the year at our annual banquet. It is scheduled for Wednesday, May 24th. So there is some time, but not a ton of time. So make sure that you grab one of those RSVPs. Also out in our lobby, I do believe we have donuts for sale, Gwen. Oh, excellent. I was going to say go buy more donuts, but you already did, so thank you so much. Okay, so this next tune is very special, and this kind of speaks to where our students are today when it comes to entertainment. Because we get this tune out, and everyone's like, oh, sweet, never-ending story. I know this one, all right. Okay, now, I have to preface this by saying that I actually saw Never-Ending Story in a movie theater. Okay? And so I'm like, how many have seen this movie? And there were some students that were like, it's not a movie, it's a show. No, it's a movie, The Never-Ending Story. And they're like, no, it's Stranger Things. What are you talking about? And I was like, oh, okay. Made popular once again by a great scene in Stranger Things Season 3. Okay? Fantastic moment when they sing to each other, and they sing the theme from The Never-Ending Story. So it's just hilarious to me that my memories of this are much different than theirs. They're like Stranger Things, I'm like 1984. Okay? So we're gonna continue on and finish things out with one of my favorite songs of all time, The Never-Ending Story. We are going to feature Zariah Berry, Jaden Spiva, and Ellie Loudon on the trumpet. They're going to do a trumpet trio. Okay? And we're going to also feature Ben Donacek on the drum set doing his thing. As well as Gibran Buxom on the xylophone. Okay? So, everyone knows this. If you know the words, then okay. All right, please enjoy Never-Ending Story. Give it up for Jabron and Ben in the percussion section, leading that one out. Ben had his Phil Collins, Can You Feel It in the Air Tonight drum fill right before we all came in. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you encourage your students to play over the summer. I know I said that. Keep them playing. Make sure that it doesn't collect dust. Thank you so much for coming out this evening. We really enjoyed having you. Hopefully you enjoyed the music that you heard. We will see you next time. Have safe travels home and take care.